Hey guys, welcome back to an all new episode of a pro wrestling podcast with Matt and friends. I am your host, Matt Kozakowski, and alongside me today is pro wrestler, Nightmare Factory Showcase number 5, class number 5's wrestler, Matt Honey. Matt, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing great. It's a lovely Sunday afternoon. Got some pay-per-view plans tonight with some friends watching Double or Nothing. I'm in Minnesota, and it is the beginning of too hot to go outside already. So
I feel that, man. I'm surprised because I've been to Minnesota in the summer and it wasn't super hot. So I'm like, yeah. So I was like, it was kind of chilly, to be honest with you. The entire time I was there for like almost a full week, and it was chilly as shit. So I was like,
well, how long ago was that?
3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was interesting, man. So my ex-fiance and I went to Mall of America out there.
Yep.
And it was so cool, man. But it was chilly the entire time. I'll tell you what, the hotel right by there, the airport that's right there, it scares the crap out of you, bro. Like, I'm telling you, man, that's the scariest thing I've ever been. Like, just watching airplanes come right by the hotel. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, you can time it out when you're driving on the highway. You just have an airplane just go right over you.
That would scare the crap out of me. But yeah, no, I'm excited to have you on here, man. This is my first show in 4 months. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation, having the world get to know who Matt Honey is. Let's start from the basis. Are you originally from Minnesota?
No, I was born in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was listening to one of your shows. You're also from Chicago, right?
Yeah, I'm from one of the suburbs, Calumet City, Illinois. So it's not too far. It's close to East Chicago, Indiana. So yeah, I'm in Indiana now, but yeah, I was from Illinois my entire life, pretty much. So, but yeah, what part of Chicago are you from?
I know it's on the southern side of Chicago. I couldn't tell you, like, my family moved around a lot in Chicago. Whenever they talk about memories, they're always like, "Oh, it was when we were living on 45th and whatever." And I'm just like, I have no idea what any of these streets are. But I was super young when we moved to Minnesota. I was only 3 years old. So I only lived in Chicago for the first 3 years. And then every summer growing up, I would go to Chicago and live with my grandmother and my cousins. And I'd spend every summer out there just hanging out with the family.
That's cool. So yeah, you got to go back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
That's always fun. Did you ever go to a lot of wrestling events like in Chicago?
Actually, the only wrestling event I went to in Chicago was 3 years ago, and it was the All In pay-per-view. It was either All In or All Out. It was the one that was at the Sears Center, and it was the first AEW pay-per-view, and the main event was Chris Jericho and Hangman Adam Page.
That's awesome.
For the first ever AEW championship. And it was something I really wanted to go to. And I sold a Garmin watch, which are like $800+. I got it for free from Lifetime. I was working at Lifetime at the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I got it for free. I had no use for it because I don't do cardio. And that's like a cardio watch.
Yeah.
So I sold it for $400. And I used the $400 to buy 2 tickets to the show because it sold out within like 30 minutes. So everyone was selling them at ridiculous prices. And me and my best friend, Ian, we road tripped to Chicago and we stayed with some of my family and we went to the show. That was the first and only show I've been to in Chicago.
That's absolutely awesome. That's so cool. So Lifetime, were you an actor? Were you backstage? Like, what did you do for Lifetime?
Oh, no, Lifetime Fitness.
Oh, okay. I was like, Lifetime, man. Okay, that's pretty cool, I guess,
making Hallmark movies,
Yeah, Christmas time, Christmas in June, whatever, I love it, man. But no, that's cool. What did you just do? Like, were you a fitness trainer or?
Yep. I was a personal trainer, and that was my first job. When I graduated from college, I was a personal trainer at Lifetime Fitness out here in Eagan, Minnesota. For 4 years. I actually just recently left Lifetime just about a month ago. So that was my job for 4 years out of college. And now I'm on to doing like some side hustles like DoorDash and stuff like that. but mainly just so I can have more time to practice wrestling and to have more time to do shows.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you got a big match coming up, which we will talk about very
Yes.
soon here,
Yes.
which I'm very excited about. I think that's going to be absolutely awesome, not just for fans, but for you. I mean, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
Now, did you play any sports growing up?
Yes. My very first sport in 8th grade was wrestling.
Okay.
And growing up, I went through like up till 6th grade, I was like a twig. And then from
Okay.
6th grade on, I got super chubby, like middle school chubby guy right here. So 8th grade, I was doing wrestling as my very first sport. And I was in the heavyweight class, but only because I was chubby.
Yeah.
And I was wrestling all these kids who were like 200 pounds of muscle, like these 8th graders drinking special water to grow their muscles, it seemed like. And I was just getting absolutely destroyed. I only won 3 matches, and 2 of them were against someone on my own team because there was no one else in my So that was my very first sport. After 8th grade wrestling, I decided I didn't want to do wrestling anymore.
That makes sense.
And then 9th through 12th grade, I did football in the fall. And my high school, I was fortunate enough, they had an Olympic style weightlifting team. So we would compete in the snatch and the clean and jerk. And I did that in the winter, junior and senior year. And then in the spring, I did track and field. I did shot put and discus. And also my junior and senior year of high school, I got introduced to rugby.
Okay.
And I played rugby junior and senior year in high school. That was the same time track was going on. And throughout college, I played rugby all 4 years of college as well.
Oh, shit. So you're one of those badass athletes, man. I love it.
I wouldn't say that. I just
rugby and football, man. I mean,
I'll be honest with you, if I would have discovered rugby in 9th grade, I never would have played football.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I love rugby so much more than I liked football.
Now, do you ever still play like once in a while with friends or anything?
I've had some opportunities to play. I played a total of 11 seasons of rugby.
Okay.
Which that's a lot of rugby. And out of all those sports, all of my injuries only came from rugby. And they were pretty significant. I had to get surgery on my hand and on my ankle from 2 separate injuries from rugby. So I'm at the point right now where I feel like I've wrapped up my rugby career and I am okay not playing rugby anymore.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, all your injuries are going to come from pro wrestling now, if anything, right? So,
Exactly.
we don't wish that we don't want that to happen at all,
Right, yeah.
But no, man, I mean, that's absolutely cool. I mean, so obviously having those kind of experiences, being in those tougher sports, it kind of gets you geared up for pro wrestling.
Absolutely. I like to think starting from 8th grade is when I decided I wanted to be a pro wrestler.
Okay.
I wanted to pursue it somehow. I didn't know how it was going to happen. But I knew that to be a pro wrestler, I had to be in shape. So that's what started my, that was the foundation of me doing all of my sports. Was I knew I had to be athletic if I was going to be a wrestler. So a lot of decisions I made, the foundation of it was, how is this going to help me when I become a wrestler?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. 100%. Now, when did you actually get into pro wrestling? Like, when did you become a fan? Like, were you very young, or was it not until like 7th, 8th grade?
Yeah, I was young and I got into wrestling because of my mother. She was flipping through the channels and came upon WCW, and on the screen was Bill Goldberg.
That's cool.
And my mother, saw his match, he spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. And something must have happened where someone like ambushed him at the end of the match, and it made her intrigued to watch it the following week. And she also had a little bit of a crush on Goldberg as well, too.
Oh, right. I think my dad does for some reason too, because that's his favorite. And I'm like, he'll be like, dude, Goldberg's the best. And I'm like, maybe back in the day he was okay.
Right.
Now, I think it's time to hang those boots up. But
Yeah.
that's absolutely cool. And Goldberg's a straight up guy. I mean, my dad's told me stories about how Goldberg came out on like one of the old school television shows and gave a puppy and a signed football, because he played professional too.
Yep.
To a kid who said that Goldberg was his favorite, and this kid was sick and stuff like that. And I felt bad, like, but that was awesome. Like, Goldberg's a straight up guy. I think that's absolutely incredible. So
Yeah. So my mom was the fan first, and I remember I would be playing outside and I could hear my mom screaming and yelling at the television because Goldberg was coming out, and she'd be, "Woo, yeah, Goldberg!" Like I could hear her from outside. So she was the fan first, and then her and my dad would watch it, and then eventually I just started watching it with them. Still at that young age, I was probably 5 or 6, and then eventually it got to the point where it was just me watching it.
yeah.
And I became the super fan. So I was watching it every week. My mom and dad knew. It's like, oh, it's Monday. Matt has the TV from 7 to 10. Or it's, Thursday, whenever, sometimes SmackDown used to be on Thursdays.
Yes.
Matt has the TV from this hour to this hour because he's going to be watching his wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, dude, that's how it was for me too. Like every Monday, I'd be watching TV in my bed. My parents would be like, go to sleep. And I'm like, but Raw's on. I can't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how it is, man. Is it just pro wrestling just kind of gets you glued to the television. And there's those moments too. And it's so funny because I've never stopped being a fan. Like, I've watched it since I was in 4th grade all the way till now, never missed a week of it. Like, and I hear people say, yeah, I stopped watching it for 4 or 5 years and then I got back into it. I'm like, even in the worst parts, like, pro wrestling just intrigues you. It's crazy to see that, but yeah, no, I think that's absolutely awesome. It's always how that starts. Like, I remember me personally, like, I bought wrestling action figures before I started watching it.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I thought they were just so cool to look at. And I remember one day in 4th grade, my buddy was like, dude, you should watch pro wrestling. And I'm like, why? I don't have any interest. Like, and I remember we were at my sister's house one day and they had like one of these cheater boxes. Like, you could watch pay-per-views and stuff without having pay-per-view.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was cool. Like, that was like the coolest thing back in the day before everything was coming online and you could stream it for free somehow. But yeah, we watched, it was Bad Blood 2003. And the first match I watched was Christian versus Booker T for the Intercontinental Championship.
Oh,
and
nice.
It was the coolest thing. And I'm like, dude, Booker T is like the best. I don't know what it was, just something about him, the look he had. I was like, dude, this dude's cool. And he hit that spin Rooney. I was like, this is my life right here, pro wrestling. So I get that, man. Absolutely 100%.
I think I lost you for a second. Can you still see me?
I can still see you, yes.
Oh, I cannot see you anymore. All right, here we go.
All right. We had a little bit of technical issues here, guys, but we are back. We are back here. But yeah, no, man, it's cool stories. I love hearing how people get into pro wrestling, like their beginning stories of watching it and stuff like that. And it's always fun. Like, I'll be at my mom's house or whatever, and she'll say something. I'll be like, yeah, so this happened on wrestling. And she's like, I don't care. Like, I'm like, sorry. Like, I just can't help it. Pro wrestling's the best,
It's funny. My mom and dad, they humor me a lot. So like if I was watching something like a pay-per-view, especially when I was in college, because usually I'd watch all the pay-per-views with my parents. But when I was in college, I was watching them on my own or just with my roommate or whoever I forced to watch wrestling with me. And if something cool happened, I would text my mom like, Mom, don't go on social media. Like, don't look up anything. And I'd wait for her to come visit me in college. And I go, all right, you're never going to guess what happened. And I would show her, like, I pull up the pay-per-view and I would just show her what happened. It would be something, like a surprise return or something crazy happening. And I didn't want it to get spoiled for her because I wanted to like show her so I could see what her genuine reaction would be.
Oh, for sure. And with how everything is in the world today, people spoil everything. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's awful, awful. You know, with all the rumors with Cody Rhodes coming back to WWE and stuff like that, like I'm surprised that people were still genuinely shocked when he came out.
Yeah.
Were you watching WrestleMania live when that happened?
Oh man, yes, I was. And it was one of those things where I was hoping it was going to happen, but it was also one of those things where like this could all just be hype, like all those rumors and stuff. What if it was all just to get our hopes up,
Yeah.
just for our hopes to get crushed?
Oh, 100%.
That happens sometimes.
Oh, right. I mean, there was rumors on this past Friday night for SmackDown, like all on social media. I kept seeing people saying like, "Oh, Tyler Breeze is going to be the surprise New Day partner," and they're like, "Yeah, let's get excited." And out comes Drew McIntyre, and fans shit on Drew McIntyre after that. Like they were so crappy online, and I'm like, I still love Drew, so I'm not mad. But
Right.
you know, those surprises, man, you never know. You never know. Like,
Yeah, and then that WrestleMania moment when they had that extended pause between, the entrances. Seth Rollins is just in the ring, just waiting. And it's like a minute and a half or 2 minutes of just silence. And everyone's like starts chanting Cody.
Yep.
Makes you wonder, like, if it's not Cody Rhodes, whoever's walking down that aisle, they're going to get booed.
Oh, 100%, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure there would have been so many walkouts. There would have been so many people that just turned it off and said, I'm done.
Yeah.
Because it was so hyped, like the entire time, without even hyping Cody specifically. Like everybody just knew it was going to be him.
Yeah.
And I remember the moment I heard the dun dun, I was like, dude, is it Cody? And when he came, I was like, fuck yeah,
Yeah, man.
30 years old, but the 15-year-old came out of me, and I was like so pumped, bro.
Yeah. What a great moment that was. I think that's probably one of my favorite WrestleMania moments now.
Oh, absolutely. I think hands down, it's my favorite. 100%. I don't know what it was. Just everything that I've watched from Monday Night Raw since has just been like every time Cody's out, I'm glued to the television.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame because being the executive, one of the executives of, AEW, fans shit on him so much.
Right.
And I seen it on social media so many times. And I've talked to friends of mine who've been in the Nightmare Factory, like, I don't understand why people shit on Cody. He's fantastic. I've been a fan of his ever since he first debuted in WWE, teaming with Hardcore Holly and then switching to, Ted DiBiase. Like I've been a fan of his for the longest. And just to see fans crap on him and everything like that, I was like, man, this sucks. And then to see the reaction he got from that crowd at WrestleMania was like,
oh man,
this is so better. Like to see this kind of reaction for Cody because he deserves it, genuinely deserves it. And I think now there's a lot of AEW fans that hate on him even more because of the jump. And it's like, dude, you hated him when he was there. Like, let him be happy of doing what he's doing.
I know.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Cody starting, when he did that first pay-per-view, that first independent pay-per-view that sold out in like 30 minutes. I think that was All In.
Yes.
That one was called.
I think it was in Hoffman Estates, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. That was, believe it or not, that was the first independent pay-per-view I've ever watched.
Yes.
Like I knew nothing about independent wrestling until Cody Rhodes started, making it. He almost like made it so you had to look at it.
Oh, 100%. It was fun, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, and it was something different. And like I didn't know too much about wrestling outside of WWE. And Cody definitely brought my eyes to looking at different stuff. And then watching that story from All In progress to AEW. And I was like super fan of AEW before it even started.
Right. I think a lot of people were just because of that specific show.
Yeah, just watching that and just looking at Cody and how he started that whole process to eventually him coming back to WWE after all of that. It's just like one big full circle. And it's crazy.
For sure. And I think at the end of the day, I think, hearing fans hate you for absolutely no reason, no reason, I think kind of turns you off and wants you to do something different. And I think that's a big reason why he was like, well, I guess I'm going to try to go back. I mean, in my thought process, when AEW first started, I was like, okay, well, everybody that's an executive is going to go for the championship right away. Like, my thought process was that. And as much as I wanted Cody Rhodes to win the championship, when he put that opportunity on the line and said, if I lose this match, I'm never going for the world title ever. Yeah. That was a big downfall. And I think that's what really pushed Cody, because I know he wanted it. I don't think he wanted it right then and there. I think he wanted it eventually. But because fans had the same thought process like me, but there are fans out there that are really, really shitty, they would have jumped the gun and started going at him and stuff like that. And I don't think he would have deserved that. I think he deserved that world championship opportunity. And I think he should have got it. And I think now, not being an executive, he has that opportunity to go for the big one, the WWE championship. Oh, yeah. And fans can't say, well, he put himself in that spot. Right. If he earned it in AEW, he deserved it in AEW. He started a company with the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Tony Khan. He started a company that fans absolutely love, and me personally, like I said before, I don't know if I said it on the show or before we started the show, like, I was not a fan of AEW in the beginning. That's right. What brought me to AEW was last year's pay-per-view when Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole showed up.
Oh yeah.
That's what kind of got me to the point, like, okay, because I love all the wrestlers there. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely talented roster, one of the best rosters ever. I think what got me, and what still gets me to this day, but I don't let it bother me as much, is every week they have something to say about WWE. Yeah. And I think, in my opinion, and I've said this a lot, is I think what they need to do is just focus on them and just AEW, focus on AEW, not what the other companies are doing. Focus on what you want to do. Right. And that's what I would love more. Like I said, talented roster. I love what they're doing with Swerve Strickland right now. I love what they're doing with Keith Lee. They put them together. I never thought in a million years that team would work so well. Right. I love Jurassic Express. I love Trent Beretta, best friends. Like, there's so much there that I'm just like, I love it. But there's always that downfall. And then you have fans that are just like, booing the wrong people at the wrong time. And I'm like, man, just let wrestlers be wrestlers, man. Let them do their stuff, have fun, be excited, be in the moments, and
yeah, and that's what it's supposed to be about.
Oh, 100%. And, I've gone to shows live, and there's nothing like a live crowd, man. It's so cool to see. I know you've been having a couple matches. Your first match, I believe, was at the Showcase, correct? That was your first match ever?
That was my first match, was the Showcase.
Okay.
I feel spoiled because that is a great place to have your very first match.
Oh, the Showcase?
Yeah, fans on the side. We had fans behind the camera. And then, the fact that there even is a camera, camera there, like, around the ring. We had to, like, block our entrances. So we knew, like, how that there's going to be a camera right in front of us, like how to work it and stuff that. So having that as my very first match, like official match, that experience was insane.
Oh, 100%. And like I said, man, and I want to hear the story of how you got to the Nightmare Factory in a second here. But like I said, man, I love the showcases. I love the factory. I love the Rhodes Wrestling Academy and the Nightmare Factory. They're both absolutely incredible. The showcases, they bring out so much unique talent, and you see so many young stars coming up, and you're like, that dude's going to have it. You said that with Kid Bandit. You said that with Trevor Outlaw, who trained somewhere else before he came there. You said that with TSF. You said that with Josh Bree. Like, these guys, you came and you seen them. You're like, that person's going somewhere, and I know it for a fact. And when you came out, I was like, this dude's going to have it. Just the look alone, I'm like, this dude's going to have it. And then when you got in that ring, man, and I seen what you can do in just that one match, and they said that was your first match, I was like, yeah, he's going places. Matt Honey's going to kill it. And then when I seen that poster about you wrestling Eric Cannon coming up, I was like, yeah, that's a big fight feel right there already. And that's nuts. Like right off the bat, you're going one-on-one with one of the most underrated professional wrestlers ever, I think. I think Eric Cannon's a legend in pro wrestling. So that's absolutely incredible, which we will talk about that soon. But how did you get to the factory? How did that whole experience come about for you? Let's talk about that.
So I originally went to the Minnesota Academy School of Professional Wrestling, which is owned by Ken Anderson, Arya Davari. You've heard of that school before?
Yes, because JDX went there too.
Yep, exactly. So I went there in February 2020, and that was my first step into getting into professional wrestling. And I only did it for 6 weeks because then the shutdown happened and the academy shut down. We weren't allowed to train anymore. So during the shutdown, it was never able to reopen. And I remember we were trying to like organize practices with groups of only 4 people. And I signed up for one of the blocks and I went, and it was just me and Julia Hart. She also Academy School of Professional Wrestling. So her and I, we did some cardio drills, ran the ropes a little bit, wasn't too much. And then that was the last time. After that, they stopped doing the blocks because the pandemic was getting worse and worse. So that was in June, and probably like 5 or 6 months later, Kate's my girlfriend, we went to a Lifetime. It was a Lifetime Lifetime Fitness, not the Lifetime movie.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a Lifetime we don't even normally go to. We just went to check it out. So we were doing that, and then I see Julia Hart doing her workout, and it had been so long since I seen her last. I was like, is that Julia? I don't really know because it's been so long. And eventually we made eye contact and we're like, hey, you're from the academy, right? Yeah. So I asked her, I said, hey, are you doing anything wrestling related? Because, at the time it was quiet in Minnesota. Nothing was happening. And she told me that at the time, she said next week she's moving down to Georgia to go to the Nightmare Factory. And she was telling me about the school. I'd never even heard of the Nightmare Factory. She's telling me about the school, and she encouraged me just to apply. She was like, just fill out an application and see what happens. She said it was pretty popular and they get a lot of applications, but she said she wasn't really expecting to hear anything. And she filled out her application and heard back right away that she was able to go. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, that conversation with her just hyped me up.
Oh, absolutely.
It was one of those things too, where it just seemed like, like everything happens for a reason. Like I saw her there. It just so happened to be a week before she left. And she tells me about it. I'm hyping myself up. It like reignited that fire to get back into it, because the fire was gone for a little bit just because nothing was happening. School was shut down. I felt like I was making all this progress toward my dream, and then it just got taken away. So I finally had that feeling again of I can finally like make this happen. So I applied probably just like a week later for the following class after Julia's. Didn't hear anything back. I applied. I was going to apply a second time, but then I decided to hold off for just financial reasons. And then applied later during the summer, and then found out that I was accepted to go to the October class, which was Camp 5.
Oh, absolutely. That's awesome, man.
So it was, yeah, I mean, looking back at it, I think eventually I would have heard of the Nightmare Factory and maybe considered it, but it definitely, like, having Julia encourage me to do it, and then also seeing how successful she was.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Going to the Nightmare Factory.
Absolutely.
I was like, holy crap, this is like working, or it worked for Julia. I didn't expect it to, work out the way it worked out for Julia. I wasn't expecting to be on TV right afterwards, but I knew it was the place to be if I wanted to get in front of the right people and also learn, the foundation of how to be a professional wrestler.
Oh, 100%, man. I think that's absolutely awesome. And everything, I always believe everything happens for a reason. So I think that whole scenario, that whole situation, meeting back up with Julia, and it puts you in this spotlight, and you're having these big upcoming matches already. Like, I think it's a fantastic opportunity. What everything led to that happening. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So for some reason, my Zoom keeps doing this to me where it's doing a countdown, and I don't want it just to cut down and shut us off here. So let's end this part one right here. I'm going to try to send you a new link. We're going to try to finish this off.
Okay.
But we're going to end part one here. Do you want to tell the fans, just in case that link does not work, I want to tell the fans where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is Matt Honey _66. You can find me there at Instagram, Twitter. I have a Facebook page, just Matt Honey. And yeah, those are the three.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys go follow Matt Honey. He's absolutely going to be one of the biggest breakout stars that we just started seeing in 2022. He's going to have a successful career, and I can't wait to see what's next. We will talk about that very soon here on part two. We will see you guys in a little bit.
See ya.